Preface. This book is a general introduction to advocacy for change that many sectors of the United States of America want to see. It aims to support such a call by providing essential information based on real facts and events, the truth of which no one can deny. I have always tried to make this book echo reality in a way that makes people aware of the need to abolish racism, xenophobia, and the air of the ethnic cleansing trend. It also wants to tell the rulers that the narcissistic feeling and the uncontrollable ego of some people in power are capable of destroying the moral infrastructure of society. The particular audience for this book is anyone who can read and listen to the truth. I believe that this book can also be used in seminars and in college, as well as by people who inform themselves on the social problems facing the country. Before going any further, I would like to clarify what this book is not. It is not a document which mainly focuses on the negative aspect of the social, economic, and political reality of the country, either generally or chapter by chapter. Nor is it an attempt to change people's political ideologies or to impose a point of view, as that would usurp the call for tolerance, appreciation, and respect that constitutes the essence of this book. It is, well, also not a document which tries to destroy the reputation and the worth of a politician, but as a keen observer, I describe the way things evolve in the society. I published this book to protect the moral of social philosophy. This book can be positively seen as a source of ideas and inspiration for surviving systemic racism. I want to recognize the legitimacy of these uses. I take these aspects into account as I write it. It should be used as a tool for peaceful purposes and for denouncing structural racism, xenophobia, and injustice. As it is, a fascinating document which calls for racial tolerance, respect for human rights, and freedom. This book has a logical order. I can easily say you can read it in that order. Each chapter is like a preamble to the next. This reading is going to be easy, fascinating, and straightforward. I can assure anyone who finishes reading this book that they will understand why the title is United Hates of America and why it was written as is and what was the motivation behind its production. It should be noted that the title of this book is neither a mockery nor a lack of respect to the proper name of the country, the United States of America. This is not only a book, but also a plea for change, justice, and eradication of racism. Stop the hateful system, please! I swallowed my fear while writing this book in order to make a difference. On the evening of February 19, 2003, a little more than 3 months after I had my work permit, I stood at the entrance of my bedroom that I rented from a friend, looking at the card which gave me the authorization to work in the U.S., dreaming with my eyes wide open about having a great job already so that I could make a hell of a lot of money, and praising God in my heart for helping me to get my work permit. I was very happy at that moment. After contemplating my card for a few minutes, I walked toward the west side window in the room, and I opened it and stood there watching as the rising sun emerged into the magnificent twilight and little by little changed the color of the sky to a resplendent yellow mixed with a type of radiant orange. Always beautiful to contemplate. Spread before me was the fence in the backyard which separated the neighbors, the extremities of the fence partially hidden by the palm trees huddled to form an acceptable nice view. The noise from the street a few feet from the apartment building got louder during the end of the evening. I was able to feel the humidity lowering, softening the air, and temperature from hot to cool made it easy to start enjoying the fresh air. At that time the birds began their evening charming songs. Yes, their sweet hoots were so wonderful, too, in my ears. A small sports car drove by, but the music from that car was so loud, the driver waved to me while wiggling his head from side to side, apparently enjoying the loud music fervently. That was an intermingling natural energy I could not stop to enjoy. Life in this apartment was kind of hectic and noisy. I sought refuge in my cell phone looking for free English teaching programs and in many books that I'd read a lot in order to become more fluent in the English language. I read endlessly when not going to the gym or playing soccer with some Spanish and Haitian friends. I knew that education was my unequivocal path to a better future, a very much comfortable life, and I was always willing to go extra miles to improve myself. I needed a glass of wine, 2 small pieces of delicious cookie, and I could feel superbly ready enough to enjoy a good night's sleep. As usual, I started the next day by getting a nice cup of warm green tea, then a good piece of whole grain bread with my white cheese called Laughing Cow, and I'd feel ready to have a prolific day. Second, the friendly appreciation motivated my intention to drive my roommate to work sometimes, turning on my radio while driving. Yes, I always enjoyed a local news channel so that I could be informed, working on strategies to get a job very fast and investigating opportunities posted on the newspaper, specifically the jobs post section throughout the day. Third, I made an effort to read and study books, which could also help me improve myself intellectually. In the afternoon, I would pick up my roommate from work if other people were not available to help him. And those would be my activities for the first half of my day, usually. During the second half of the evening, I got busier, returning and making prospecting calls, typing, planning, and writing, so on. There was always a lot more to deal with, and at night I had to check to make sure that the household was running smoothly, seeing if the bills to pay were in good standing, checking to determine if shopping for new items would be probable, helping with cleaning around the house, and repairing things at the request of anyone in the house. Even during the rare moments when I found myself with a little more free time on my hands, I felt compelled to read English books, especially vocabulary books, to enjoy my free time because I couldn't allow myself to lose an opportunity to improve my language in the English language. So why was I so focused on improving my language in English? I was tired of seeing people laughing at me because of my different accent. Later in this chapter, you will find out how some people came together against me when they thought it was fun to hurt my feelings. They revealed a characteristic sort of universal revulsion that was hideous. The beginning phase of my adaptation to the life in the U.S. was horrid, but I anyway adapted myself very quickly. I did my best to make the most out of the free time by quickly finding something to read. It's like telling myself to hurry and learn a few more words and pronunciations whenever a few minutes are enough to chill out. I didn't even want to close my eyes for too long because I felt I was running against time and time was passing so fast. Sometimes friends would tell me I had to find a way to relax, but when I listened to them and closed my eyes for a short nap, I felt like there was not much time left. I wasn't really sure what I could do about my situation because I wanted to overcome a lot of obstacles very quickly, like being able to communicate effectively in English so that I could have a good job, be ready to go to college, and rapid adaptation to the multiracial system in the United States. I really needed a job because I didn't want too much time to be spent on my work permit card. I didn't want to share a small apartment with too many people either. And I couldn't stay like this without giving myself the economic freedom to do things to live better. I thought that without a job I might have to drink more wine, ending up smoking cigarettes even though I couldn't stand the nicotine, but I still thought about giving it a try. However, in my mind, I didn't really see myself as a smoker. That's why it doesn't matter whether I succumb to smoking cigarettes or not. Sure, in a downtime following the advice of a friend during this circumstance to relax, I had a cigarette one evening. But it was not real relaxation because it was not like I wanted to smoke every day. And it wasn't like I wanted to start smoking again at any point in my life. Either way, I had the rare feeling of trying it out when I was having a hard time in my life. Even if I would have continued to smoke, I could stop it when I would have wanted it, as I wanted to keep my lungs healthy and myself healthy in general. My dream was always to keep my health in great shape so that I could run with my children, play football with them, and enjoy other good things with them in the future. Now let's begin to discern how my first job I was victimized by the system of united hates in the U.S. But then I managed to find my first job as an electrician. It wasn't as easy as I thought it would be because I thought finding a job in a wealthy country like the United States would be very easy. But it was difficult for me. I had to file a long job application, pass an exam, and take a training course of about 3 days. My God, it was a hell of a lot of information that I had to deal with in a very short period of time. The good news is I made it to the finish line because I was employed after all among other selected new hires. Even if this new employment system was strange to me, I didn't mean to say it wasn't effective, however. I could not help but feel overwhelmed by the avalanche of information that I needed to master before I started working as an electrician for this company. And I could feel I was not alone in this state of mind, as even when the other native or American speakers who were in the room with me were showing signs that they too were inundated with information. Once I started working effectively, I started to feel like a victim of a type of hateful system in some ways. There was a time during that job when the white director, white supervisor, and some white employees frustrated me so much, specifically when they're using boorish language such as, "Fucking tight the wires, you fucking strong black dude. That shit is not well adjusted to the pipes in the mechanical room. The wires weren't well fitted by that motherfucker. I don't want to work with that black guy, that new electrician. And yes, that Haitian can't really understand the blueprint of the underground installation." I let him work his ass off during the most of the heavy loaded works under the sun, and shit, that black guy works like an animal, and that motherfucker is not worried about enjoying his break. He's a son of a bitch workaholication, and so on. Oh, when I heard these insignificant expressions against my personality while working for this company, I felt sad every day I walked into this job. I couldn't wait to leave work every day so that I could start my short evening at 7 p.m. and continue until midnight. And if I had trouble falling asleep, I graciously enjoyed an extra glass of wine. Then I went to bed so much better so that I could fall asleep quickly. I couldn't imagine any sufficiently rational reason to make me want to go to work in the morning, except to receive a paycheck or the salary. Mental exhaustion had become an enduring situation in my life, especially when working with disrespectful colleagues. Even on days when they had been less disrespectful, I could still have nightmares at night if I didn't have at least one full wine glass. I had nightmares every now and then since some employees with different skin tones than mine started their ruthless expressions towards me. Sometimes I felt mentally more tired than physically. No matter how hard I tried to do my job, their negative attitude touched me, disorganized, exhausted, and devastated. It was like sometimes I felt like I had to move near a giant rock underwater in order to find a safe place to hide and protect myself from hungry sharks. Once I was going to face the strangest insolence, not from a white co-worker, but from a young black American woman called Zantella. During a short break, I was quietly eating my lunch, but Zantella suddenly started talking about me with other colleagues. She said, "That guy is not bad looking, but he barely speaks English. Look, guys, I'm going to tell him things so fast he ain't understand." And she continued, "Hey, Evanson, I want you to lick my chat before I wash it or lick my ass. Would you eat it, right?" Alarm bells immediately went off in my head. She smiled at me, turned her body, bent over, and bent down her back also in order to be more explicit in her triviality. "Can you show me your tongue now?" she asked. Then all the co-workers who were near her started laughing so hard for at least 45 seconds. I looked at her and said nothing. Then she said, "I know you don't get it, motherfucker, mummy dude." Of course I did, I said to my heart. But I couldn't believe the reason why some co-workers were united with her laughing at her after such a bad attitude and vile behavior against me. She's a black person, but she exhibited vile behavior against me. Why? No idea. I was in a psychological shock because she and I have the same skin color. Even though I'm from a different country, I see myself as black as African Americans are. Either way, I still couldn't figure out the cause behind Zantella's dark words against me. After not too long a time, a co-worker named Fee said reluctantly, "God damn it, she's trying you, dude." But I tried to understand that the United Hate system was not a question of some whites that are marginalizing other races only, but it's rather a mix of different races within a hateful system that are ostracizing newcomers or immigrants to the U.S. When my workday was over, I needed some peaceful time in the little park by the sea to the east, right in downtown West Palm Beach, not far from Flagler Drive, where I could enjoy the nice breeze, a nice place where I could rediscover my sense of life or just relax in a rippling and quiet mood, without having to face bad words from some colleagues, and probably with a good friend sitting by my side as we enjoyed the ocean breeze, brushing our skin as we talked about the positive things in life. For days, months, and weeks, loneliness was also part of my life, for it is the reality of many immigrants who have no other goal than to have a better life. That's it, yes, just a better life, and again, yes, a better life in a large country populated mostly by immigrants. I was tired of being bullied at work. It was very disheartening working with some people who made me feel empty. I didn't like that feeling. The odium displayed during this time still stunned me, however. I hadn't shown them that I felt that way. I continued to smile with them respectfully, although inside I was not happy for sure. To tell you the truth, I hadn't stopped feeling that sense of animosity they showed against me until a few years after I graduated from college. In my first year of employment in this great country, I couldn't even imagine seeing myself ridiculed by people acting like enemies who couldn't appreciate diversity as a wonderful thing. Never, never, and never again, I kept repeating in my mind because I wanted to enjoy the other side of the greatness of this civilization's. Acceptance, love, appreciation, consideration, and respect, but not stereotypes, discrimination, and hatred. The hate system made it difficult for me to open up to friendship. It was as if the desire for friendship or companionship did not exist in my mind on some level, as if the desire to come together, have fun, and prove the natural love of friendship didn't do anything other than to transport me into the speculation of a new world in which I found myself. But this world was going to be real. Even after surviving the psychological shock inflicted on me by those who wanted to marginalize me, it was still strong enough to make me a little sad every morning on the way to work. During this period of my life, I still did not feel well. It was as if my life was temporarily not going in the right direction. Some days I felt broke, but other days I pretended to accept everything as a step towards better days. So there was no glaring reason to get a lot of excitement about anything. I could do nothing more than let my life go with a flow that only nature has the power to alternate from time to time. However, I found it difficult to trust people, especially those who were not part of my small circle of Haitian friends. After a few months, I was let go among a few other employees due to contract completion and the workload. Within 3 weeks, I managed to find another job at a hospital about 5 miles from my home. After all, most important things had not changed when it came to the practices of United Hates. Zenas, a young white man who was supervisor in the department I worked for, kept coming up with sickening ideas about black people. He wanted to ensure his supremacy, and he didn't care about the consequences every time he repeated that the blacks would never be accepted to occupy high positions or high-level functions in this hospital. I couldn't believe that years later he still had this job. In fact, I think he's still working on it in this year, 2020. I'd had enough of him. I wasn't stunned by his pompous manner and his sneaky demeanor. In fact, I found his personality at a very low level because he had slandered against the main supervisor, George. George was a very good man. He was a nice white man who showed respect to everyone. In fact, he was very generous. I loved working with him. I looked at him as a wonderful big brother who came from another race. He was helpful and treated everyone as equal. He sometimes went extra miles to help the others.